Hi, this is James here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting October the 22nd, 2018. New decks are continuing to come into the house and into my life, and so I wanted to work with one of the newer decks in my collection, and I felt like I wanted to do a Kipper card reading in particular. So for this week, I'm using the Roaring Twenties Kipper by Lynn Boyle. It is actually one of the newer Kipper card decks in my collection. And just like I did with the Gypsy Witch Fortune Telling Oracle cards, also by Lynn Boyle, I will be leaving a link to her Etsy shop in the description box below. So if you're liking what you see as the video reading unfolds and you want to learn more about the deck or acquire it for your own deck collection, you will find the information in her Etsy shop. So I'm going to just jump right into the reading this week. So I have the deck on hand. And I'm going to take a few moments to shuffle the cards. And as I shuffle, I'm thinking about my usual intention for these weekly general readings, and that is, what do we need to know for the week ahead? And as I'm focusing on that question, I'm also asking for any insight and guidance that will be helpful to us moving forward. So I'm feeling that's great, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the cards. Now I'm going to fan them out. And now I'm going to be looking for 5 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. Because when I work with most of the deck systems, when I do these general readings, I like to do a line of 5. So here we have card 3, card 4, and we're looking for the final card. Okay, card 5. So now I'm taking the remainder of the deck up, and I'll put that to one side. All right. So now I have the 5 cards face down in front of me. And most times I like to start with the middle card, but I'm feeling inclined this week to start with the card on the far left, because when I work with Kipper, Kipper is like an unfolding story. So I consider the line to be like a storyline. So we're going to see how the storyline starts and how it evolves with each following card. So starting with the card on the far left, we have, okay. So starting things off, we have Success in Love. So Success in Love is a card that can talk about a friendship or a relationship. So that could be how the situation starts or the story unfolds for us this week. There may be a focus or an energy on a friendship in particular or a relationship. Success in Love also talks about this idea for people focusing on successful or good outcomes, because this card usually represents a successful or good outcome. So there's a matter of focusing on success. So if we kind of pair those two different messages or two different aspects of the card, there may be some focus or concentration being put on, the success in a friendship or the success in a relationship, So it could just be a matter of some focus on what we can do to make a particular friendship successful or a particular relationship successful, that kind of thing. Another message that I usually get with this card is about, engaging in things that you love. Because this card is, if we go with the idea that we're shifting the focus from the success aspect of the card to the love, this could just be a matter of focusing on activities, people, things that you love, because this card is all about love. So there's that as well. The other thing with this card, and this is a message that I think is personal to me, to my knowledge, but whenever this card comes up, it can represent, trusting your intuition. So this could just be a matter of feeling that you're being led and guided by your intuition and paying attention to that, or giving that some more of your time and attention and focus. So I'm seeing that. with success in love. Again, success in love can be about a friendship, it can be about a relationship, wanting that particular friendship or relationship to be successful, or you're focusing on a situation that you would like to achieve some level of success in or with. Right, so there's that as well. Or it could just be a matter of engaging with people and in activities that you love. Right, and so the focus is on being with people that you love or doing things that you love. And then the last thing is, if you resonate with the idea about intuitive guidance and you're being asked to not only be led or guided by your intuition, but to trust it. So those are the messages that I would attribute to success in love. All right, so now let's see what the card is next to that. Okay, so here we have, next to it, we have advisor. So in traditional Kipper card cartomancy, this is known as court person. So this card can represent a person. It's one of the people cards in the deck. So this could represent somebody who is, an advisor of some kind. Court person advisor could represent a lawyer, or in this depiction, could be a judge even. So there may be a situation, if we're talking about a situation which we want to be successful, it may involve some kind of judgment, going before a judge, or it may involve some sort of legal aspect to it. So there is that if we go with the idea of court person advisor. If it's some kind of other advisor, because this card can represent all types of advisors, so this could represent a counselor, could be a consultant, any kind of person who is offering advice. So it could be that for you. It could even be you. You may be the person who's taking on the role of advisor, right? So you may be a person who is maybe giving out some much needed advice to other people. It could even be like, if this is your profession, let's say, then you may be with success in love wanting that to be successful, right? So it's that. I just see this card as, if it's not about a person in the position of advisor to some degree, then it's about getting advice, right? So there is that. Another aspect of advisor is that it can come up to suggest that there is a process that needs to be gone through, because this represents a necessary process. It may be something that you don't particularly enjoy, but it may be something that's necessary to go through, because this card represents, again, all types of processes, and some may be more desirable than others, but no matter what the process is and how we feel about it, it may be something that's necessary. So again, I'm going to go with the idea that a court person advisor, or advisor in this case, can represent either giving or receiving of advice, taking on the role of an advisor, or, again, a process that's necessary and it involves some kind of advisor. Now, advisor is a connector card, and so it connects success in love, because it's the card that came before it. What happens is, when it's in the middle of two cards, it connects the card on each side. So on one side here, and we've already talked about success in love, it connects that. So there is something about a connection to advice, and it's either around a friendship, a relationship, or something that we want to achieve a successful outcome in, right? So there's that. Now let's take a look at what's on the other side of advisor, because that's going to be the other connection being made between the two cards. And here we have, okay, so here we have, in the middle of the line, we have gloom and doubt. In traditional Kipper cartomancy, this is known as gloomy or murky thoughts, and it reminds me that this card showed up in the previous reading that I did with Kipper, and I used Kipperono that week. And in that deck, it's called the Mind card, right? So gloom and doubt can represent a space, or moving into a space where we are not clear on something. This card can represent confusion, uncertainty, being unsure of something, or some kind of doubt. Again, going with the idea about doubt. Okay, so there is that to consider. It just may be a matter of why we need the advice. It's because, remember now, advisor is connected to gloom and doubt. So there may be a situation that we're unsure about, that we are confused about, that we have some doubt about, and as a result of that, that is where we get the advice, or we need to go through a certain process, right? It may be that if we connect all the cards, If we want to be successful in a particular outcome or situation, we may need to go through a process, a necessary process, and as we're going through that process, we may experience some uncertainty about it. We may experience some confusion about it. Gloom and doubt can also be a card that represents a negative outlook. So this card can be about pessimism, being negative, in terms of our outlook. So that's another thing to consider. Here we have an interesting dichotomy here. If we go with the idea that somebody may be going through a process where on one side, they may be dealing with, being positive, being optimistic, in terms of success. And on the other side, they're dealing with thoughts of doubt, confusion, uncertainty, right? So it's making me feel like it's one of those situations where you wanna hope for success, but you also want to be prepared for the possibility that the situation is not successful, right? So I'm seeing that as a possibility with gloom and doubt. But gloom and doubt, again, at the center of the line is there's a focus on either something that's confusing, something that has some degree of uncertainty, or something that we have doubt about. And again, it's making me feel like if that's the case, then advisor, being connected to this card, is saying there may be a necessary process that you have to go through, or that you may need to seek the advice of a professional to help you through it. So now let's take a look at what's on the other side of gloom and doubt, because just like advisor, gloom and doubt is a cause and effect card. So now here we have, I thought I was done with this for a minute. So now here we have, if we go with the idea that this is a cause and effect card, then here we have, on the one side we have the cause. So it may be as a result of a process or some advice that we're now in the space of confusion, uncertainty, and doubt, and we may have developed the possibility of a negative or pessimistic outlook. So now let's see what the effect is at, or what's going to be affected by that. And that is older woman. Okay, so a couple of possibilities here. So older woman is, like advisor, is a person card. So first thing here is that older woman would represent somebody older than you and I. Remember, in the story of Kipper, we are always the main characters in the story. So there's always the main character 1, which is always the male character or lead in the story, and then main character 2, which is always the female lead or character in the story, right? And in that regard, if we keep it with that relationship in mind, older woman would represent an older person. So this could be an older woman, this could be older sister, an aunt, could be a mother, grandmother, an older mother figure, something of that nature. So it could be an older woman in that regard. And so if we go with the idea here that gloom and doubt, remember now, is a cause and effect card. So this confusion, this doubt, this uncertainty is affecting an older woman, or it will have an effect on an older woman, right? So there is that to consider. So she's going to be affected by this. So it could be a situation that she's going through, maybe involving some kind of advice or some kind of necessary process, right? And with that, again, we're not sure about the effect it's going to have either on her or around her, right? So some other possibilities with older woman that's coming to me is that older woman can also represent, if it's not a person who's connected to you, like a familial relationship, this could represent a female authority figure. Again, going with the idea that older can imply authority, could represent somebody who's in a position of power, somebody who's experienced, somebody who's more mature. So this could be, if we're talking about maybe a working context, this could be somebody who's in a senior position of authority. Again, so that would be an authority figure. Somebody who's in a senior position or a position of authority. Somebody who's got a great deal of experience. So now if we go with the idea that we are going to mirror advisor, an older woman. This could be the advisor may be an older woman or a woman who's got some experience in whatever the situation is, right? So there is that to consider as well. And so now let's consider older woman is looking to the last card in the line. So this may be something that she's going to be facing or something that she's looking forward to or some aspect of something that's going to be showing up in her near future because it's close to her. So now let's take a look at that card. And rounding out the line we have, oh, no mistake, interesting. Work occupation is the last card. So if we go here and we pair these two cards, the older woman is looking forward or looking at or facing work occupation. So this could be something that she needs to work out or work through, because one aspect of work occupation can represent physical work, manual labor, working with your hands. So if it's not that in the literal sense, then it would just be a matter of actively working through or working out whatever the challenge is. And I'm only saying challenge in the sense of gloom and doubt being in the line this week, right? So it could be that there's some uncertainty for an older woman in terms of how a particular situation or experience will work out, right? So there's that. Now, the other thing with work and occupation in the literal sense, it could be something having to do with one's work, one's occupation. In that regard, then that kind of matches maybe the possibility of what I was talking about with older woman in terms of a woman in a position of authority, right? So this could literally be a boss at work for somebody. And there may be some doubt, uncertainty, confusion in the working environment that pertains to her specifically, right? And not knowing how the situation is going to work out, right? It could also be, too, if there is a situation, now remember, started off the line with success in love being about a friendship or a relationship, possibly. So if we're talking about a relationship or a friendship, it could be with an older woman, and we want it to be successful. And now we can understand why I was talking about that, because there may be, at the heart of it, there may be some sense of confusion, doubt, uncertainty about the relationship itself or where it's going, right? Or that we may be having some sort of negative outlook, or we're becoming pessimistic about the relationship. Like, it started out wonderfully. Started out wonderfully with success in love, and then we went through some sort of process, advisor. And then as a result of going through the process, we're now in a space where we're now not clear about the relationship itself, right? And then the relationship could involve an older woman. So if it's close to home, this could be mother, maternal figure, grandmother, somebody older sibling, an aunt. So if we keep it within the family, it could be that. Or it could be an older woman that we have a friendship with. Or it could be somebody that's in a position of authority, right? And then, regardless, at the end, it may be a matter of what are we willing to do to work the situation out, right? What are we willing to do actively? Work occupation, if you look at the image, there are 3 people who are working out in the field, right? So this could just be a matter of, and I'm saying this in a figurative sense, what are you willing to do to get your hands dirty? This may be a week where you have to kind of roll your sleeves up, metaphorically speaking, and do the work that's going to help maybe repair or improve, going with success in love, successful outcome, improve this particular relationship. So I'm seeing that. So again, work occupation, rounding the line out, could be something that you have to work on, something that you have to work through, or it could be something having to do with one's actual work, one's actual occupation, right? But no matter what it is, it's like taking these steps to be more active in the process of that working through the situation, that working it out, that kind of thing, right? And then I'm just going to go with the final aside. This could be for some people where you are needing to actually maybe consider, a physical or becoming more physically active, so that could be a workout, getting exercise, things of that nature. Again, is making me feel like being outside and being active. So if it's not all of those, if none of those resonate with you, then consider how you might want to consider being more physically active. You know, and that could be getting exercise, getting a workout, those kinds of things. Just even just being outside more. And that may be even more so for someone who's more mature. You know, an older woman, you know, a more mature woman, that she may have to consider this idea of working out more, becoming more physically active. It may be because of some uncertainty, some doubt, and it may be as a result of being advised to do so. So that's another final aside. So again, I'm thinking with work occupation, at the end of the line, if we mirror success in love and work occupation, it would be saying to, like, in order to be successful this week, there may be things that you actually have to become active in doing. You may have to kind of roll your sleeves up, get your hands dirty, put in some elbow grease in order for whatever it is that you want to be successful to actually be achieved. So on that note, I will go ahead and end this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm James Himm Mitchell, and as I wrap up, I'd like to thank you for sharing space here with me for this week's reading, and I look forward to sharing the same space with you again in our next video reading together. So until then, I'm hoping that you have a wonderful day, and I'm hoping that you have a wonderful week. Take care.